You want to save your money for 3 reasons. Save your money for an emergency, save your money for a big purchase, like you want to buy a home or a car, or save your money for an investment. If you're not saving your money for one of these 3 reasons, don't be saving your money. Now, when we talk about saving your money for an emergency...
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement.
There's no other reason to save your money, because now you're just saving your money.
We're going to have to get into inflation, otherwise people are going to derail. But I also, let's start there. So why not save? That's all I was taught as a kid. Save, save, save.
Me too. So I grew up in a traditional Indian house where the whole idea of plan and becoming wealth, this is from me, was become a doctor. Why? Because doctors have a big status and doctors have a big salary. Now, when you make this big salary, what is the plan to become wealthy? Not by investing, not by doing some fancy stuff. It's by saving your money. Have a big bank account. So live small, live off of ideally 20 to 30% of your income, save the other 70%. And that might sound extreme, but this is the reality of what a healthy financial household looks like for an Indian doctor.
Was it for emergencies? Like what is the
Just
purpose
save
of
it.
saving? In that particular mindset.
So it's not for emergencies. It's literally just to build up a big savings account.
To
It's
pass on to
become
your
wealthy.
kids?
To pass on, to build wealth. So
Like to be wealthy and live in a shoebox, like what is there, like are they ever articulating why you're doing it? Like if my mom, if I'd pressed her, what would she have said? You never know when you're going to need it. That's the only way to get rich. She would have said something like that. But if I had then pushed farther and said, okay, what's the point of being rich? Well, then you can do this, that, and the other. Well, not if I'm saving forever. I can't.
So I think it has to do with the times that somebody grew up in. So this save heavy culture is a big byproduct of my parents' culture. People who grew up, were born in the 60s, especially in India. So now, if you look at that time frame, where you look at before 1970 in India, it was a very tough time where poverty was very common. Most people were poor.
See, that I get. That's a protection against,
And it was
I don't
protection.
ever want to be hungry. I don't want my kids to be hungry.
But that mindset hasn't gone away. And so it just kind of trickles down, right? You see what you know. Because I personally, many of my friends are doctors. Many of my friends make a lot of money. Many of these people also have 0 investments and have huge bank accounts, because then you're beaten away from this idea of doing something risky like investing your money. Investing your money is dangerous. It's bad. Like when I wanted to invest in real estate, nobody in my family had ever heard of this concept of real estate investing. Either had I. Nobody I knew was an investor. So I told my dad, Dad, I want to invest in real estate. I found this condo for $8,000. I want to rent it out, blah, 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 blah. My dad's response was, you are stupid. Go become a doctor. Go do something worthwhile. And, he said it out of love. I love my dad. But
Did he really say worthwhile?
Yeah. Now, the reason why my dad said was that extreme about it is, Indian parents have this thing where they like to create stories to scare someone away from doing something.
We all?
And so, his whole thing was, what happens if your tenant doesn't pay you? What happens if you go to your tenant's door and then they shoot you because they don't want to pay you?
That escalated quickly.
This was the example that he gave me. And so it's just you start creating all these fears where it's like, if you invest in real estate, you might die. And that's supposed to scare you from not doing it. It's one of those things where it's this lack of financial education, lack of ever experiencing it, because you don't know that it's possible. You don't know anybody doing it. You don't know anybody that looks like you doing it. You're still new in this country. How are you supposed to go and do it? It's just very scary, where this is the safe thing is just saving money. If you save 100 grand today and you look at your bank account a year from now, it's still going to be 100 grand. Maybe a couple extra pennies if your bank is giving you some interest, but that's it. If you invest 100 grand,
isn't that the best idea ever?
Well, going back to what you said, inflation. Inflation, by definition, is diluting the buying power of your dollar. So
I thought this was a fundamental law of nature. It's really human intervention.
It really is. Inflation comes from the word inflate. What are you inflating when you have inflation? And it's funny, if you've been watching some of your content or my content, you know that you're inflating the monetary supply. When you increase the amount of dollars out there without increasing the amount of wealth, the value of each individual dollar goes
You
down.
just broke brains. How do you increase money without increasing wealth?
So if I just print money, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the central banking system of the United States, they have the ability to print money. They can increase the amount of physical dollars out there or increase the amount of currency through digital things. So the amount of money in circulation, they can increase this. And so if we go to a very basic example, if we live on a hypothetical world where there's me, you, and 3 other people, and each one of us 5, have $20 each, and that's it. We're each equally owners of 20% of this world's wealth. But what happens now if this new alien government comes in and then they magically gave us $20 more each? Are you going to be double as wealthy as you were before? You might feel like you are for a minute because you see, oh my God, I have $40. There's only $100 in this world. I have 40 now. And then you go and talk to your friends and you go shopping and you realize, oh, everybody has $40. So now all of a sudden the price of anything you want to buy is going to be double because you've increased the amount of currency in this case without increasing the actual wealth. And so this is where you kind of have to differentiate currency from money, because you have to kind of define what money is, because money can have a couple different definitions. It can be a store of value or it can be a means of exchange. And what I mean by that is money as a store of value. If you look at physical gold, for example, gold is your traditional store of value because it takes time, effort, and labor to mine physical gold. So that time, effort, and labor is represented through a physical gold bar, and that is the value, the physical gold. Now, if we compare that to something like our paper dollars, it's very easy to transact with. It's a very good means of exchange. Gold is difficult to transact with. If I wanted to go to McDonald's and buy something with some gold, it's going to be very hard to do that, versus with dollars, it's very easy to exchange. However, it can be easily manipulated because the Federal Reserve Bank can print money essentially on command. So they can increase the amount of dollars out there, which decreases the value of each individual dollar. So while our dollars serve as a very good means of exchange, it's not a very good store of value. This is where now what wealthy people do is they want real money. They want something that's not only going to store their value, but also hopefully increase in value. This is what assets do. If you look we hope, right? You invest in assets for the purpose of making money. How does it make money? By increasing the amount of value that it provides. When you invest in a company or an ETF or anything, you want to invest in something that you believe will be more valuable in the future. If you didn't believe that, you wouldn't put your money in there. How is it going to become more valuable? How is McDonald's or Amazon going to become more valuable? Their goal is to produce more value, to create something new that will provide more value to more customers, and then that value is represented through revenue, through profits, through money. So you're investing in something that you believe will produce more value. If you're enjoying this video and want to take your investing to the next level, I want to remind you that I put together a free investing masterclass where I walk you through how you can get started as an investor and find hidden investment opportunities before everybody else. It's a completely free masterclass, and when you register, you'll also get access to market briefs, which is my newsletter for investors, completely free, complimentary as a bonus. So if you want to get the investing masterclass and market briefs all for free, all you have to do is click the link down in the description below to get it. Same with real estate. You want to invest in an area that you believe will be a more desirable area. Because if you invest in an area where businesses are moving to, where people are moving to, where jobs are moving to, you own that land, you own that property, you own that building that is now more valuable because more people want to be here. And now that is represented through money, through this currency, where now more people want to be there. So now rents are higher, property values are higher.
This is why this stuff gets complicated and why people turn their brains off. Because, for instance, if you pick the wrong neighborhood, you can lose your ass.
Right.
And this is where ETFs, index funds, become very interesting. To use real estate as an example, I personally, because I recognize how ignorant I am, I would much rather be investing in a whole bunch of neighborhoods across not only this country, other countries, because I don't know which one's going to pop off.
Yeah.
Right? So because there is so much uncertainty, it's like as you spread that out now, but to your point, you're limiting your upside, but you're limiting your downside.
Right.
That to me is far wiser. You're never you don't become the next Ray Dalio by doing that. So you're not going to turn into a billionaire, but when you think, like when Ray Dalio was pressed, like what would you do? Like if you could only leave a set of instructions to your kids about what to do with their money. You couldn't actively manage it for them. You couldn't have your company do it. You just had to give them instructions. And he came up with what he called the all-weather fund.
Yes.
And so it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen. So here's like the diversification that you should put it across, and you're not going to make as much money, but you're not going to lose a bunch of money either.
Exactly.
And so all of this stuff is so freakishly complicated that, even better, it is so easy to be wrong and so hard to be right that your odds of getting it right consistently enough, because it's, to your point about the monkey, if you looked at it in 6 months, the monkey probably loses. You look at it in 12 months, monkey probably loses. 18 months probably loses. 2 years maybe loses. 3 years though, it starts to be like, all bets are off. And by the time you get to 10 years, it's like the monkey's winning. Just because you just left it alone. Instead of thinking that you could outsmart the scenario.
And Warren Buffett did a very similar bet against some major hedge funds on Wall Street. And what he bet, it was a $1 million bet that the winner would give $1 million and then they would go to charity. And his bet was that the average person would be better off by investing their money into a low-cost index fund as opposed to actively managing their money, actively trading their money like the hedge funds were doing over the long term, over a 10-year period. And what happened was exactly what you said. In the beginning, the hedge funds were crushing the index fund. The index fund was down, hedge funds were going up because they were able to find these trades and make all this money in the short term. And the media was asking Warren Buffett, how do you feel about it? He said, the 10 years are not up yet. And then come year 10, well, then we had some swings in the market, some hedge funds had some losses, you took out their fees, which is also a big chunk of it. After factoring in the fees and all that other stuff, the index fund won. And what did he do? He just put his money into it, sat back and didn't do anything, versus the hedge funds are spending all their time managing the money, trying to beat the markets. And they did for a little bit, but then over the long term, they didn't. And then when you factor in their fees for spending all that time trying to beat the market, now your returns are less than if you just put your money into the market and didn't have to do a thing. And so this is that basic financial education where it's not as attractive. People want to be able to show off. Like, it's just like people would rather look rich than actually be rich. And you would say, oh, no, I would rather be rich. Well, people's actions speak louder than the words. Because if that's true, you should not have a Gucci belt if you don't have that same amount of money in the market. You should not own a BMW if you do not own any investment portfolio, right? I mean, it's just a matter of looking at what you do. Does it match with what you actually want? If you want to become wealthy, answer is yes. Okay, what are you willing to sacrifice? You have a BMW in the driveway, you got the Gucci belt, you have the Louis Vuitton. If you have this nice stuff, but you don't have the nice assets, your priorities are in the wrong place. And this is just a matter of you looking at yourself in the mirror and being honest with yourself and understanding what you want. And for a lot of people, maybe this is a matter of financial education, maybe this is a matter of preference, but many people would rather look rich than be rich. If you just look at, what it is. Now, if you dive a little bit deeper on the people that want to actually be rich, we want to be rich today. We want to be rich tomorrow, not be rich in 5, 10 years. And so what does that do? It then drives your actions. So it's very difficult now to understand that, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice not only the nice stuff today, but then also not do the attractive, the sexy, the things that are hot, that are making people so much money today, because I believe in this long-term investment that has been time-tested, because it's so boring. But the reality is that boring is where the real wealth is built.
Dude, facts. I always tell people, boredom kills more entrepreneurs, kills more dreams than fear or failure. It's the daily grind. Like when, to your point about watching candles, when crypto was really popping off, I had to stop myself from watching it because it was so fun and so exciting. And I was like, you can't spend time there because I'm not going to want to watch it when it's down. So it's like, you want a system, you want to set it, you want to forget it. And if I could get people to understand the psychology of how money impacts you, like, oh my God, to your point about people would rather look rich than actually be rich, when you think about what money really does for you, you have to understand peak emotion. There's only so much emotional amplitude that you can have. In fact, do you have an image in your mind of the highest emotional amplitude moment of your life?
As it where I felt the most emotion?
Yeah, the highest positive emotion you've ever felt.
Positive emotion.
Yeah,
That's a tough
positive for sure.
You know, it's funny. My wife used to get really upset at me because I never showed emotion. And she was like, "What's wrong with you? Like you never get excited, you never sad." I'm like, "Look, the only real emotion that I feel is hunger. I get hungry." I've changed since
That's
then.
what a woman wants to hear, by the way. If you said hungry for you, baby, that's the only thing I ever feel, you might have a shot.
Yeah. So
I just get hungry.
I've evolved since then where I'm working on that, but I think, the happiest is really for me being around my family and the people closest to me and just laughing.
Yes.
That is my favorite thing in the world. Like, what do I want? I literally want my friends and my family in one room and us just joking around because we make fun of each other. And it's not in a mean way. It's just our personalities and we laugh and have fun. That is, if I could think of my favorite thing to do, it would be that. Maybe if you want to take it one step further, maybe do it on the beach. But, it's honestly, it doesn't matter where we are. If we're in my basement eating some whatever, pizza, some Indian food, and just laughing.
Yes. So now, I believe that to be true of what you're saying. It's certainly true of what I know in my life. So I have had the fascinating experience of, I spend Christmas with my family and my wife's family together, and it's amazing. And I've done Christmases in a middle class home and had an absolute ball. And I've done Christmases in a big fancy mansion and had an absolute ball. And while doing it in the big fancy mansion is fun, especially because other people, they don't get to do it very often. They're like, oh my God, this is so cool. The peak emotion is not higher.
Yeah.
In fact, the highest amplitude emotion I've ever had is when I was in high school, I got cast in a professional play.
Oh, wow.
And that meant that I got to skip calculus. And dude, I was over the moon. I got paid to be in a play. It was like the craziest thing ever. I was like, I can't believe this is really happening. Now, I have had millions of dollars show up in my account like that. And I'm telling you, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was neat. But it wasn't as neat as getting cast in a professional play where I made $75 a week.
Yeah.
In high school, there's only so much amplitude of emotion you're ever going to experience. And I know no matter what I say to people, they're not going to believe me. They're going to have to go through the same fucking rigmarole. I'm not saying money isn't powerful. Money's incredible. I want to make more money because you can do incredible things with it.
Right.
I'm just saying that it doesn't touch fulfillment. It doesn't do the things for people that they want it to do.
Yeah.
And so the reason I say that is, okay, you're going to be bored doing it the right way. Mm-hmm. It isn't going to be sexy. You're not necessarily going to be able to flex. It's going to take decades, but it will work.
Right.
And it actually addresses the thing that money is good for, which is money problems.
Right.
And so there are really two paths before you. If you want to be an entrepreneur, like that is high risk, high potential reward, high potential failure. Mm-hmm. If you optimize your entrepreneurial journey for failure mode, and you're like, even in failure, I'm having a good time, you're going to hate failing, don't get me wrong. But like that, I'm pursuing something that really matters to me. I'm getting better every day. I'm serving other people and myself. I'm increasing my skill set. Even if you're losing, that's going to be amazing if you're thoughtful about your mindset.
100%.
But if you're making all the money in the world and you're not able to laugh and play and have a good time and feel like you're doing something that matters, it won't matter. Like, this is where I want to like grab the camera and start biting it to get people to understand. Like, dude, set it and forget it. Make an income, work at something that matters. Yeah. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I love that. I can even help you do that well. Money isn't going to change how you feel about yourself.
100%.
It is not going to make laughter more joyful.
Right.
It isn't going to make human connection better.
Yeah.
It will get you on the occasional beach. But if people could internalize that, I think that they would make very different choices. They wouldn't be so worried about making all the money right now. In fact, let me ask you another question. What do you spend the most money on?
My business.
100%. What do I spend the most money on? My business. So it's like, It's not like I'm out
Yeah.
bawling on, the beach. I could.
I know.
But that doesn't give you fulfillment.
I did a show. I was in New York last week, and I did a show there, and they were asking about the first time I made $1 million. And I went through that. I was like, you're not gonna like my answer, because the first time I made $1 million in a year, I think I took home 20,000.
Yeah.
Which
Just
is what I
shovel
lived off
it
of.
right
I put
back into the
everything back into the business, because, I was like, I'm fine driving a $500 car. Like, I'm getting from point A to point B. I'm getting by just fine. Like, this is my fun, passion. And on your point of, the fulfillment, this is what I call my quadrifit theory, where there's 4 aspects. Quadrifit. So what I say, my theory is, if you want to live a happy and fulfilled life, you have to be fit in 4 aspects of life. And just think about like a triangle, where on the bottom of the triangle, you have to be physically fit, then mentally fit, then spiritually fit, and on the top, financially fit, if you want to live a fully fit life. Physically fit, because if you're on your deathbed, it doesn't matter if you have $10 million in the bank. The only thing you care about is being healthy again, to be able to breathe again. You want to be physically healthy, because if you are morbidly obese, you can't move, you're just, the only thing on your mind is to be healthy again. We all know that feeling where you're sick, you don't feel good, where you can't do anything. The only thing you want to do is feel better. Then is mental fitness, being around people that you love, not being miserable. If you're struggling with anxiety, depression, if you're not happy, more money is going to make you more miserable. And we all, I'm so passionate about this, because I've seen this firsthand. I used to not believe in this, but I've seen this so many times where I try to bang this into people's heads. If you think that making $1 million is going to suddenly make you happy, it's going to make people like you, it's going to make people want to be your friends, it's going to make you find the love of your life, you are so wrong. And you are so far from the truth that it's going to be extremely painful for you to learn it, because you have to work on this mental health as its own aspect of life. Learn how to build self-esteem, how to be happy, how to manage anxiety, how to manage and fight depression. Learn about these things. It's its own part of this. You have to be mentally fit. Then spiritually fit. Now, this doesn't have to mean religion. Spiritually fit, finding your self-purpose. What are you waking up for every single day? Like you said, you've had millions of dollars in your bank account. You don't got to go to work every single day. You don't got to go and hustle, yet you do. Why? Because you see a bigger purpose for yourself. You have a reason for you to get out of bed. Because if you don't have a reason to get out of bed, more money is not going to do anything. You need to have a reason to get up, want to thrive, whether you have $10 or $10 million to want to hustle. And then at the top, this is where financial fitness has the most impact, the most power, and the most ability to allow you to live a more fulfilling life, because more money is just putting fuel on the fire. It gives you the ability to do more of the things that you love, to do more things that make you feel more fulfilled, to do more things that you want to do, to give back more, to do more of that. But having more money is not going to solve your physical fitness. Maybe it'll buy you better food or a better gym, but it's not going to give you the mindset to go to the gym. It's not going to make you feel okay when you're drinking something healthy. You're going to say, man, screw the smoothie. Give me something nasty. Give me some unhealthy food, right? It's mental fitness. More money is not going to fix that. More money is not going to give you a purpose in life. It is its own aspect of life. And this is where you have to understand that, work on all 4 of these. Each one of these requires its own attention, its own nurturing, its own thing. Like, I focus on the financial side because I feel like I understood that. But that's not the only aspect of life. And this is what I really try to hammer into, on my channel to the people that watch my videos is, look, money's great. Understand it, conquer it, understand how to master your money, but also understand that it's not the only aspect of your life. You got 3 other huge aspects where if you don't have money, it's going to ruin everything else. Because if you don't have money, you're struggling about your bills, you're struggling how you're going to pay for anything, you don't know how you're going to take your spouse on the vacation that he or she wants, you're not going to be able to pay for your kids' education, you're not going to be able to do the things that you want. But if you have money and you don't have these other 3 things, you're going to feel miserable. And then what's the point of having money if you're not happy?
Yeah.
Just go back to the middle class home and laugh.
Yep.